We the North? Who runs the North? Who's going to win the AFC North? That's the question, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and NFL football fans. How y'all doing? And oh yeah, by the way, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Enjoy the video. Now, the Baltimore Ravens finished the season 8-9. The strength was the defense, the running game, Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh, the head coach. Now, the main weakness, injuries derail their season. In fact, the injuries got them before the season even started. You know, the OTAs, the training camp, the preseason games, you're just like, wait, what? And by the time the season started, half of the roster, they were on IR. You're like, wait, what? And the fact that they went 8-3 in the first half of last season, it's amazing. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. You go from that to 8-9 and missing the playoffs. And their backup quarterback isn't bad at all. That's what happens when you have development, have time, and not throwing them in the wolves or going out getting someone with more experience, but don't know the knowledge of the playbook, the team's playbook. So the question is, will they stay healthy for 2022 season? In fact, who Lamar Jackson going to be throwing the ball to? Yes, I know it's going to be, Mark Andrews, but he's a tight end. What about number one wide receiver? Hollywood Brown left the team due to being traded to the Arizona Cardinals. So, yeah. So we'll see what happens with the Baltimore Ravens. The Cleveland Browns, yeah, they also went 8-9. You look at the roster, that screams out loud of not only the best roster in the National Football League in the last 2 years, it screams out loud of Super Bowl champion material. You have the defense, they can be dominant at times. You look at the offense, you're like, ooh wee, look at that offensive line. Look at the wide receiving core, the tight end core, the running back with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. What more do you want? Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, not to mention he was coach of the year. And not to mention, you have pretty good special teams. All you need is a quarterback, right? There was drama with Baker Mayfield. If it ain't Jarvis Landry, it's Odell Beckham Jr. If it ain't those two, it's playing through pain, which I appreciate as a football fan. Same way with Cam Newton, but sometimes playing through pain is a negative. And it costs your team games, costs your team's playoff spot. I think Baker Mayfield should listen to his body more. And he was inconsistent before the injuries started to happen, So you go from him to Deshaun Watson. Oh boy, here we go. Then you got to deal with 24 potential civil lawsuit cases pending against him. I wouldn't be surprised if it came 30 by the end of the summer. Sheesh. The question is, will they get back to the playoffs? Will they be making noise with Deshaun Watson? Shoot, will Deshaun Watson will be playing at all in the upcoming season? That's the question mark. The biggest question mark. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they made the playoffs last year by pure luck. And they finished the season 9-7-1. Yeah, that tie against the Detroit Lions. I can't believe that happened. Anyways, Mike Tomlin is the strength. The defense, the running game. The only thing they need is the consistency at the quarterback position. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger, he's a future Hall of Famer, 2-time Super Bowl champion. Well, all the other accolades. The problem was he was immobile, and he just didn't look right. Then you compound the fact that the offensive line was just bad. I mean, I thought my Carolina Panthers offensive line was a joke. Well, they still a joke, but the offensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they was just flat out bad. So, and the injuries didn't help either, but it didn't derail them in the worst way like Baltimore. So the question is, will it be Mitchell Trubisky or Kenny Pickett being the starting quarterbacks? How much improvement we're going to see from the offensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers? And mind you, here's a little nugget. The Pittsburgh Steelers never, ever had a losing season with Mike Tomlin. Keep that in mind. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals won the AFC North last year. Yeah, the offense, the opportunistic defense, they were the strength, not to mention the head coach, Zach Taylor. The weakness, the depth, it didn't come up until the very deep run in the playoffs and the Super Bowl that showed up. And the offensive line, they were bad. I mean, they were the worst offensive line unit in the league in terms of coughing up sacks. In fact, they coughed up 70 sacks overall. I mean, I think they were in the high 50s in the regular season last year, and they coughed up 15 more sacks in the playoffs and the Super Bowl run, including that one game against the Tennessee Titans where they allowed 9 sacks. So they got to find a way to protect the quarterback, which is Joe Burrow, a.k.a. Joe Cool. Otherwise, it's going to be a big problem. So my picks, I have the Cincinnati Bengals going back-to-back. Cleveland Browns finishing, I'll take that back. Baltimore Ravens second. Pittsburgh Steelers third. And Cleveland Browns fourth. I can't believe I did that, but they're the biggest question mark because of you-know-who, Deshaun Watson. Leave me alone. Now, the NFC North, wow. We all know the Green Bay Packers won that division last year. You know the strength is Aaron Rodgers, a.k.a. Discount Double Check, a.k.a. Bad Man himself. You have Matt LaFleur. You have the offensive line. You have the running game. You have the wide receiving core, sort of. And the defense, they look pretty good most of the time. Not all the time. Last year, or the last couple of years, for the Green Bay Packers, the weakness is that they get off to a hot start in the regular season, but in the playoffs, they do very little. Either it's the defense fail them or the offense fail them. If it ain't that, it's the at home last season against the San Francisco 49ers, where the offense could only muster 10 points. And don't get me started with the special teams. They were just as bad, if not worse. Both groups failed the Packers fans. They let them down. And let's not forget the fact they lost Devontae Adams in a trade to the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to see what Aaron Rodgers and that new offense look like. We're going to see what they can do in the upcoming season. Now, Minnesota Vikings, they were close to making the playoffs last year. They just had bad luck. If it ain't the field goal missing game-winning kicks, it's the defense which that let them down the most. And unfortunately, Mike Zimmer, who is a former defense coordinator, turned head coach, he got the boot. So Kirk Cousins, he's not a terrible quarterback, but he's not a spectacular quarterback, especially when it comes to primetime games. So we'll see what happens with the new head coach for the Minnesota Vikings, Kevin O'Connor, coming from the LA Rams team. So how much improvement the Viking fans will see within the defense. Now, the Chicago Bears, they got the defense, running game, sort of. The quarterback position was a mess. Matt Nagy, the head coach, So that was the strength and the weakness. Now, here's my biggest problem with the Chicago Bears. They did very little to nothing in the draft. This year's NFL draft. And in terms of the offense, it and not to mention the offensive line weren't very good last year too. They were in the, I guess, bottom 5 in terms of coughing up the most sacks. So we'll find out what's going to happen with the Chicago Bears. And Detroit Lions, they just got hit with a bad luck. They were just losing games left and right. In fact, they finished dead last in the NFC North, 3-13-1. They got some pieces. They just got to stop doing Detroit Lion things. So I got the Packers, Vikings, Lions, Bears. Get ready for the AFC, NFC East next month. Check y'all later. Again, happy Father's Day, y'all.